Welcome to the Archive Center, a department in the radio-television production where you can get information on all audio, film and video recordings, as well as written documents that are found in the Bosnia and Herzegovina Radio-Television Archive Center. This is the place where you can get an insight into the complete production of the former Radio Sarajevo, which started broadcasting its program in the year 1945, as well as the production of the Television Sarajevo from the day of its establishment in 1961 until today, the latest production of BHRT. Here you can enter the world of motion pictures, documents and recordings on one period of time, the people and events. You can find information on programs and culture shows which opened up new horizons and worlds, enriched and expanded the knowledge. The viewers can be reminded of the series which they liked, the ones which they grew up with, and the ones which they grew old with, and which are now preserved on some old tape formats as witnesses of the past times and guardians of our history, tradition and culture. The BHRT Archive Center provides services simultaneously to the editorial boards of the 3 public broadcasters in the Bosnia and Herzegovina system of public broadcasting, where it builds its position within the scope of the agreed and legally regulated terms and conditions of functioning. The primary function of the Archive Center department, from the viewpoint of serving and servicing the broadcasters, is being realized in its full scope. This relates to the reception, recording, processing, preservation and archiving of audiovisual materials generated in the process of radio and television production of the broadcasters. Well aware of the obligation of bringing closer the information on the contents of the archive collection to all interested parties, journalists, authors, we strive to ensure optimum conditions and document and digitalize all the existing data and recordings. To recall, the first archived film, one of the 50 independent shows that Television Sarajevo broadcasted in the Yugoslavian program of the time, was Bura na Mirnoj vodi, the World Championship in kayak and canoe on still waters, Pliva Lake near Jajce, 1963. The first informative show, Večernji ekran, was broadcasted directly from the Television Sarajevo studio in the evening hours of March 17, 1969, and the television introduced its own TV news on February 25, 1971. From May 1992, the TV news was broadcasted under the logo of Television of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The first TV news of the television of the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina was broadcasted on October 27, 2001. The first TV news of BHT1 was broadcasted on May 7, 2002.
Dobro večer.
Ovo je dnevnik BH televizije 1.
The BHRT Archive Center provides effective services to the broadcasters and represents a valuable share in the production of new programs. It prepares archive material from old tape formats and thus enables viewings of the best achievements from the archive collection during the rerun time slots. The archive materials in the newly formed broadcasters' collections are stored on all formats of the beta tapes. In 1 year of the BHRT broadcast schedule, more than 500 hours of rerun programs are broadcasted in the time slots reserved for archive programs. This is a positive and preferable aspect of broadcasting of the archive program. This has all imposed the need for continuous updating of the archive materials on old formats and their transfer from an analog to a digital form in order to avoid the situation where the archive holds an enormous wealth that cannot be used. The Archive Center established a technical point, a facility for transferring the archive material from the video recorder tapes of 2-inch and 1-inch and the U-matic tapes onto the digital beta tapes. Currently, the first project of transferring materials from the video recorder tapes VTR 2-inch onto digital beta tapes is ongoing. According to the defined plan and priorities, almost 700 hours of program has been transferred already onto the digital beta tapes, which is 90% of the overall material on the tapes of this format that is planned to be transferred. The implementation of this project in the current situation that the archive collections are facing, their documentary processing and technical obsolescence of some archive center segments, all conditioned by an unfavorable financial situation, is a real challenge.
Konkurencija zahtevala odločljivo aktivnost
Još 4, 3 sekunde, Jelverton pokušava, Forst, 96-91 za Bosnu, sarajevski košarkaši, odnosno jugoslovenski šampion Bosna, postao je prvak Evrope.
Titius, Alsus, Ortius.
It is a general fact that, together with film, the radio and television today take up the central position in the modern history of our society, and that the archives are a substantial part of the collective memory. For this reason, there was the call from Paris, issued by the International Federation of Television Archives, whereby it requests for special attention and everyone's vigilance. For this heritage that is endangered by the frailty of the media and the obsolescence of the equipment needed to read the program collection on film, magnetic tape and disc, and which is in risk of being permanently lost, it is important to establish the material preservation policy and urgently make the archive transfer plans. How to do this in our case? Until recently, the archive material was permanently preserved and restored on 16mm film tape. Synchronization, change of pixels, cleaning the film with alcohol, etc. The Telecino device has been out of order for a long time, and this is a well-known issue which must be resolved probably by purchasing a new scanner for film digitalization. There are like two continents standing face to face in front of the BHRT Archive Center. The first continent is analog, which is comprised of more than 12,000 hours of program on a 16mm film, at least 10,000 hours of program on VTR tapes, 1-inch, 3,000 hours of program on the U-matic tapes, and 70,000 hours of program on the beta tapes. And the second continent, digital. The move from the first to the second continent will preserve the Bosnia and Herzegovina audiovisual memory. Otherwise, in the next 15 years, the latest, this memory will inevitably and irreversibly begin to fade. In the difficult war times, the Archive Center maintained its primary function and preserved its then created production as a valuable documented testimony of the war live, which was accurately and fairly recorded on the cameras of the brave foreign TV agency reporters. In 1995, the archive of the former television of Bosnia and Herzegovina took part in the implementation of the Great BBC Project, a series of 6 episodes entitled The Death of Yugoslavia. Without conceding our archive material, it seems like this brilliant BBC series would not have been possible. An important segment in the work of the BHRT Archive Center are the services rendered to third parties on commercial basis.
Bosnia and Herzegovina is a country and state where East and West meet, sometimes in pain, at other times in love. The Bosnian knot has been formed by intertwining of various cultures based on Catholicism, Orthodox Christianity, Islam and Judaism.
The development of the information technology of the BHRT Archive Center was supported by UNESCO by donating the WinISIS license for the Universal Archive software, which through certain modifications enabled digitalization of data, all requirements of the archive content processing and program servicing, entry of data and search. In this way, the old method of work was abandoned. Design of master cards of shows on electrical typing machines and later distribution of terms by descriptors in the so-called subject card files. For a long time, the Archive Center and the BHRT editorial boards have had a form of cooperation, but not in the desired scope. Moreover, there is cooperation with Croatian radio television in TV program exchange, notably the archive material depending on the program needs and the case. Altruistic support to BHRT Archive Center was provided by the Radio Television of Serbia documentation sector in consultations over the information system development of the metadata of video archive materials and the establishment of the barcode system in archiving. As a form of support, Radio Television Slovenia accepted to digitalize 2 motion pictures, Porobdije, produced in 1977, and Kože, produced in 1982, which are on the 16mm film, color positive. These are cult TV series, directed by Aleksandar Jevđević and broadcasted in the program of Yugoslav Radio Television with countless reruns. Although time has played its effect, the degraded film and the changed color structure in red sepia, corrections and existing software in the chain of digital telescene of TV Slovenia have improved the picture to the maximum and returned the color of the time when the series were produced. Although it shares the fate of the public radio and television services in Bosnia and Herzegovina and all the difficulties encountered on its path towards the establishment of a modern European system of public broadcasting, the Bosnia and Herzegovina Radio Television Archive Center is ready for all the future challenges and digitalization of the radio and television system on the global level.